Hey, what's going on? Joe Menza here, and we're going to be doing one of my first videos that I did, the first scene that I painted on YouTube. I'm going to be recreating that on this spiral bound Strathmore 400 paper. I found a few pads of this Strathmore paper in my drawer, and I'm like, why am I not using this? So decided to do some marathon painting sessions and whip out a few scenes and video them. So I'll have a few videos coming up on this paper. I'm using like a warm yellow here, like a cad yellow hue, Hansa yellow. I do try to stay within the same range of, what Ron Ranson taught for his palette. And I've got some raw sienna I'm using in here. A little bit of a warmer yellow. You can add a little red to your yellow, make it a little more orangey, a little warmer, depending on what kind of effect you're going for. And I'm using the large Ron Ranson Hake, or as it's properly pronounced, Hake brush. Going in with a little ultramarine blue, maybe mixed with a little bit of Payne's gray, or a little bit of alizarin you can use and make it a little purpler. I like to come in with the blue first. So what we've got here is sort of simulating the clouds, and we've got that yellow popping through the back just to create an essence, an area of light. And a little bit of that purple on top, just to create a couple of different shades. Now you can go solid, just one color, and keep it simple if you like. I like to have a couple of different colors in each little area that I do. I think it gives it a little more dimension. And of course I put a little bit across the bottom here. This will be a watery area. And you can go back in my archives and watch my first video. Trying to keep it simpler, trying to keep it looser as I revisit some of these earlier videos that I did. And as a result, I've painted them a little more quickly. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but I'm having fun with it. And as I always tell you, the point of this is having fun. So I'm dabbing a little excess back out with a clean, dry brush. I'm using the Daniel Smith palette, by the way. I know it's people have said, oh, you're kind of scrunching the brush into the small half pans, but it's okay. It works for me. It's good for travel. I would recommend using a bigger palette and squeezing out the tubes and giving yourself more room, but it works okay for me. And these are expensive paints too. They're not inexpensive. I have a link you can use to Amazon in a lot of my descriptions. So anyways, what I've done here is I've created a couple little mountains, a little more distance by using the purple shade and ultramarine blue shade. And I don't know why this particular Hake brush has got so many little spaces between. Might have to switch back. I mean, normally the Hake brush is more even across, but for some reason the bristles on this one are almost looks like a rake instead of a Hake. But it's okay. It is okay. We get the point across here. If you wet it down, you got to train some of these newer brushes to kind of behave the way you want. It takes a little time to break them in. And this one is a little bit newer. Now I've put some burnt umber and a little reddish brown. You can add a little alizarin, a little red. On this particular Daniel Smith palette, there's like 3 or 4 different brown shades on there, which is nice. I like to kind of gravitate, like, I always had done this with my palette, like I'll have 3 blues, 3 browns, 3 yellows, and I can kind of create my own unique sort of color. This way it's not, just the typical 6 or 7, but I'm kind of using all 3 sort of mixed together to create a new color. So here I'm putting some little sticks in here. Maybe these are some tree trunks from the distance. And I'll just try to make some foliage here over the top. A little bit of green. You can use the lemon yellow and ultramarine blue and Payne's gray to make some nice greens. Or you can have a green. I like to have a green as a starting point on my palette, like a sap green, or one of my favorite colors is undersea green from Daniel Smith. And this way, you have another. If you make your own greens, it's fine, but you'll find yourself going through a lot of ultramarine blue and a lot of yellow. And then you're dipping into the yellow to make the green, and sometimes you get a little contamination there. And then you want some fresh yellow and you don't have it. So I like to have a green or two on my palette. Rarely do I use them straight, except for except for undersea green, which is a really great green. Now here I'm using the burnt umber with Van Dyke brown. Those are some browns I really like. I like to have like a reddish brown, burnt sienna, burnt umber, and like a Van Dyke brown. I like those three. And then, of course, in between that, you have like raw sienna, yellow ochre. Those are like sort of the yellows. And then a lighter yellow, like a warmer yellow or a lemon yellow. And I'm going to take my little plastic palette knife here and just kind of scratch in. If you watch that first video, I kind of erased it with a wet towel using 2 pieces of paper. This one I just scratched in because it was laying right there, and I thought, let me see if I can scratch in a little sailboat back here. And put a little hole underneath with the liner brush. Liner or rigger is usually a very, very fine, like this one. I found this one at Michael's, very fine. Pop in a couple of birds and a little more to that hull of that boat. And then we'll put in a little signature. Of course, I scraped in the rocks, something we all really enjoy, one of those tricks that you can't resist doing. And give it a quick sign. Usually I use a pen, but this is so fine of a brush. If you can find one like this, it's very helpful, like a needle. And just put in a few other little sticks and things. And that's it. Here it is with a mount on. I thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next video.